All right, can everybody hear me? Okay, good. Well, welcome to week 8. It's starting to wrap up. All right, so the good news I have for you is that this is the last week where we're doing new content. All right, so we're gonna finish up the content, and from there we're gonna take a look at working on a design project. So let me show you the schedule that I've got worked out for the end of the course. We are supposed to have 3 exams, but let me just share the screen and I can walk you through that. So hang on. Okay. All right, so can you see my iPad? Thumbs up. Okay, good. All right, so looking at the schedule, the final exam is on August 12th. All right, which sort of seems like a long way away, but it's really not that far away. Okay, and so here we are. We're sitting here in week 8, and I think week 8 has a lot of cool things to do. The Arduino project in particular, I hope you find pretty cool to do. It might seem intimidating when you first look at it, but one of the cool things about Arduino is that you hook it up and it tends to work. All right. I had one weird problem where I had trouble getting the stepper motor to work, and it took me a while to debug it, and it turned out that the battery that they sent with the kit was bad. It takes you a while to get down on the list of checking the battery that's coming out of the new kit. So if something weird comes up and you're finding that your Arduino stuff doesn't work very well, just shoot me an email and we can talk about debugging that. All right, so this week there's a lot on gears and Arduino, and you're going to build a little gearbox, and it'll be due next week, but hopefully you'll have fun with that. It'll feel like real engineering because you got some electrical going on with the stepper motor. Stepper motors are really cool. And then you also have the gears going on, which feels like hardcore mechanical engineering. There we go, we got it all. All right, so that's going to happen this week. And then week 9 through 10 is where we're going to do our design project. All right, so I want you to start thinking about this. And the thing about it is, if we were on campus, we would have a lot more resources. We'd have like miter saws and drills and drill presses and ways of cutting wood and building something pretty substantial. So we'll have to make a concession to the online part of this and just say, I realize you're not going to be able to build something that requires substantial infrastructure like sawing wood and that kind of stuff. So really what we're going to focus on is the process of design. I still want you to come up with something that works. It's just you can scale it down to a prototype model where it's a lot easier on the construction part. So if you're kind of panicking, thinking, man, I don't have a lot of equipment that I can put things together with, no worries. It's not going to be about the construction part. It's going to be about the design process. Okay, so in the past, what we did for a design project is we had something called a launcher project, and the whole idea was you're supposed to launch some small item, and you came up with an idea of an application. Like one application that's popular is I wanted to launch dog treats to my pet. I assume it'd be a dog, right? You launch the treats, not the dog, okay? You've had form to launch the dog. Okay, so you launch these dog treats, and you would come up with how far you wanted to go. Like maybe you want to launch it 15 feet, and maybe you want to send it in different directions. That was the idea. That might be hard to do for an online class, depending on what you have available for you in terms of putting things together. All right, so it doesn't have to be something that can launch things a long way. You just need to launch something. And in fact, I'm going to open it up and say that you can do any kind of project that you want, but it needs to use the capabilities of the Arduino. Okay, so what we found so far with the Arduino is that it can you got a stepper motor, it can spin things, and you'll see it's got a remote control. All right, and you can play around with some of those projects listed in the that come from the kit. All right, you could press a button and get a servo to move, to maybe undo a latch to make something launch. Okay, there's lots of things I can think of. One of the things I thought of in terms of how to think of this is I look at my everyday life and I look at what I'm interested in, and I think of what project might work for that. Okay, and so one of the things I'm interested in is golf. Okay, and so one golf project I thought of was to have there's something in golf called a stent meter, and it measures how fast a green rolls. Okay, and basically you roll a golf ball down this ramp and you see how far it rolls out. That's a stent meter. All right, I thought it'd be cool to put a little engineering geek spin on this and have the stent meter raise up, and then when it gets to the point where it's high enough, the golf ball would go over a ledge and it would launch by itself. That's an idea. That would be a perfectly fine project. Okay, it wouldn't involve a lot of construction. You could come up with something that would do that. Another thing I thought of was a remote control ball washer. Okay, so envision building a compartment. You put a ball in there. It's got some brushes, and you have your stepper motor or some motor. You press a button and it would spin to wash the golf ball. Okay, so those are some examples. You don't have to limit it to golf. You could put it to something that you're interested in, and you come up with an idea for a project. I just wanted to plant the seed in your head. You don't need to come up with anything this week. The next week we're going to start working on that. Okay, so another thing that we've done in the past with regular in-class 1301 is that we had teams, and each team put together a single project. Well, I got a problem with that model because I don't want someone to be burdened with the responsibility of putting everything together. Okay, so what my idea is that everybody's going to put some kind of design that they come up with together. It's just the scale of it is not as large because you don't have anybody helping you in terms of construction. All right, so it doesn't have to be a big complicated project. What we're working on is the process. Okay, so hopefully that'll make you feel good about that. But I did want to involve the idea of a team. And so the way that's going to work is I'm going to assign teams, and it's going to be like you have a company. All right, your team is the company, and you have different product lines within the company. So each person has their product line, their project that they're working on, but the whole team will contribute at the early stages, the brainstorming stages, the design analysis of alternative stage. You'll work on that part as a team, and then when you finally get down to it, you'll design your own project individually. So that gives you a little balance. You'll have some input from your team. I'm going to send out a survey this week. You need to respond to the survey so I can put together the teams, because I know some people have some Arduino experience, and I want to put an Arduino expert on every team, and try to form the teams that make it as strong as possible. All right, so any questions about the project so far? Yeah, you'll have to see it more to have questions probably, but we'll be working on that for a couple of weeks. All right, of course, somewhere in here, like I think the due date for your project falls within this week. So if you can push forward and get as much as you can done and be ready to go with the project next week, that would be great. Okay, we're done with content for exam 3. All right, so the thing is, if I have an exam this week, this would slow you down and you would probably spend most of your time, rightfully so, studying for the exam. And you need to make early progress on your project for this first week. Okay, so I'm going to move exam 3 to August 4th. All right, so you can be slowly preparing for that as you go and still make progress on your project. Exam 3 we're going to do it the same way. I think that worked reasonably well. I'll give you a time window. You come and take the exam for 2 hours, and that's how we'll work on that. All right. So another note that I wanted to share with you is that what I traditionally do is the final exam is comprehensive. And so I feel like sometimes what happens in classes is that maybe you had a bad day, you didn't get to study for an exam as much as you wanted, and one of your exam grades is not as high as you would like it to be. Maybe both your exam grades aren't as high as you'd like to be, but I can offer the idea of replacing your lowest midterm exam with the final exam grade, okay? And so that I think is good motivation to help pull things together for the final. Okay, so the third test is August 4th. The final exam can replace the lowest grade of your 3 tests. All right, and then the design project is going to be due August 7th. That's coming up before you know it, but that's my plan for the rest of the course. Okay, all right, so I'm going to stop sharing that and get back to you guys. Any questions about all this? Okay, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's how probably you expected the course to go somewhat. You'll have
so will we have to propose our designs?
All right, any questions about the exam you got back? Did everybody notice it was graded and you looked on Gradescope? Okay, the exam averages were pretty high. All right, so that's good. Everybody seems to be working hard. I'm happy about that. Okay.
Will we have to propose our designs?
You have a question, Alden?
Yeah. Yeah. Will we have to? Oh, you can't. Can you hear me now?
Hang on. I think my audio might be out, so.
I can hear you, Alden.
Okay.
Say it again. I got sound coming back.
Okay, you can hear me now? I was just asking, will we have to propose our project designs?
Yes, there'll be a whole process that we go through.
Okay.
You know, the first step is going to brainstorm, you come up with ideas, and then there's a process that you go through to evaluate what is your design criteria, what are your specifications for your project. You know, we'll work through the formalities of that starting next week. All right. So, but it is, you know, important to start generating some ideas. You'll have to assess what kind of tools that you have. Also, I don't want people to spend a lot of money on this, so there's a cost constraint. You can spend at most $15, not counting the Arduino. You already bought that, okay? So I don't want people to spend a lot of money on it. That's part of the design process as well. You have to live with the constraints that you have. All right, so generally speaking, something's going to have to either be launched or turned. I can't think of anything else. If you have an idea, you think, oh, this would be cool for an Arduino, run it by me. I'll probably accept it if it's cool enough. All right. All right. Because an Arduino has to be involved in a way, a lot of it is contrived, right? You're not really going to build a project that the whole emphasis is doing something nerdy with an Arduino. I mean, that's generally not what sells products. Although there's probably a market for that, you know, there are engineers out there. So anyway, come up with some ideas. It's really, again, it's more about the process. So whenever you come up with ideas, make sure you have the tools that you could actually put it together. All right, so I'm thinking cardboard boxes, tubes, you know, small scraps of lumber that you might be able to nail together or glue together. Some of you probably have some saws and drills and stuff. It's not that you can't use tools. I'm just saying I'm not requiring it, and I understand that you won't have as much access to building things as if you were on campus. So, all right, that's all I got for you today. All right, hope everybody has a good week. I think this week's pretty cool doing the little gearbox. I had fun building mine. I don't know if you've watched the videos yet, but I got mine to lift at least 5 pounds when I was gearing it for weight, lifting weight. And then whenever I geared it for speed, where I could lift something as fast as possible based on the gear ratios, I could only lift less than an ounce because of the way that your equations work. So it's really kind of interesting to go through that. You'll feel like an engineer once you get that working. So, all right, give me a shout out if you have any questions about the Arduino. You'll be using the Arduino IDE. You won't be using MATLAB. Okay. All right. Good deal. Thanks. Take care.